Well, this will be a fun presentation, Mike, because there's a lot of excitement about Groupie, and I'm excited to just share with people what Groupie is trying to do to help us with our efforts. I wanted to kind of set up this presentation by just showing everybody a little bit about the content planning process that we have spent many years perfecting at Idealaunch in working in developing custom content and SEO plans for customers. So today's agenda is just walking through a sample plan of how much legwork is involved with keyword research, and then we're going to turn things over in about 5 or so minutes to Mike that will show us a little bit about how Groupie works and how it might just revolutionize all of this painstaking work that we went through. Sound good, Mike?
Yeah, sounds great. You're setting this up perfectly. You're going to talk about all the part of keyword research and setting up a content plan, and that just sucks because of the tedium, right?
Exactly. So without further ado, a couple things we'll say is that feel free to ask questions, everyone, if you have any. I assume everybody's seeing our screen. SpyFu, somebody already asked a question. Maybe we should hear about SpyFu. You're going to hear a lot about SpyFu and what they do, but Mike's going to dive into Keyword Groupie first to tell us a little bit about that new innovation and revolution and revelation that went on there. My name is Byron White. I'm the founder of Idealaunch, so that's a quick sketch on me. You can go to idealaunch.com. Our focal point these days is Writer Access. It's a big marketplace that connects about 3,200 customers now with 5,000 writers, so that's fun, and that's where we spend a lot of our time. But our roots are deep in content planning and content strategy, and that's what I'm here to sort of show you some of that. So without further ado, I've pulled up a really cool, so feel free to ask any questions you have, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation or using the prompt over there. And without further ado, I'm going to dive you into a painstaking content plan that we actually spent 400 hours creating. And this is what a content plan looks like. I'm thinking there's some people on the line that maybe have never seen a full-blown content marketing plan. There are not many companies really producing these types of plans these days. We kind of revolutionized some of this work a few years ago with just rolling everything up into a cohesive plan that actually tries to allocate how many content assets you need in each of the keyword silos that we dig and try to find as the end goal. So this is a cover page here you see, and then we dive into table of contents, and it begins to give you a flavor and a feel for the type of work we're doing for a customer. We have sort of an introduction, and then we have some keyword research that we bundle together, which I'll show you, and then we look at some competitive research, which is quite interesting, and then we have an appendix and a summary of some of our methodologies. So this is a big, juicy 400-hour piece of work, and here are some of the companies that we're going after. IBM, EMC, you know, we're trying to dissect and identify quickly what's going on in the marketplace with all these competitors. So we began the search with basically using SpyFu to find 194,000 keywords that were collectively driving organic traffic from the search engines. And strangely enough, only 14,000 of them were duplicates. Go figure, right? So between that big list of companies, a lot of traffic, a lot of keywords, how do you make a maze out of all of this? So basically, after the duplicates were removed, we still had a challenge to remove 178,000 keywords, leaving us with a very small, tight keyword universe of 4,503 keywords. That was basically took us probably 200 hours to figure that all out.
Now the process was, you have a whole bunch of 178,000 keywords, and how did you go through the process of what you wanted to do? I guess is to figure out the ones that were most important. Is that right?
Exactly. I would call it weed whacking. Okay. So
and how did you go through that? How does that process work for you?
Right.
At 200 hours, you must have had stages or something. I mean, looking at 178,000 rows of data is kind of mind-numbing.
Insane, right? So
yeah.
We call it weed whacking techniques, and naturally you can think of the low-lying fruit like, you know, okay, let's go select the keywords that have some search volume on them, maybe a high pay-per-click price, that's one methodology that we use. But another
and
one
how did you get the search volume data? Did it just come? Did you just download it out of SpyFu? Okay,
Yeah.
so we gave you that data already.
Yep, the data came
Okay.
from SpyFu.
Okay.
Just using Excel spreadsheet exports. For all the individual companies that we had researched.
Gotcha.
So we were able to put together an Excel spreadsheet for each company and then go in individually and weed whack within each company, right?
Okay.
So that was the first step, but that's just the beginning.
So you used us exclusively. You didn't pull in data from anywhere else?
SpyFu exclusively, nowhere else.
Okay, cool.
Just SpyFu
right.
data. So, okay, so now we're phase one, but now we've got to figure out listing positions, right? And we've got to figure out, first of all, of these basically 178,000 keywords, what are the keywords that are getting top listing positions for all of those domain names? So we want to find the juicy keywords with the highest search volume and the highest pay-per-click price to help identify areas that make sense for us to do pruning and weed whacking, right? So all labor-intensive, all manual, especially when you're dealing with 10, 15 different companies. Now, SpyFu does have the PPC and the organic overlapping keyword area, and that allows us to kind of shortchange sort of some of this stuff, and basically pull separate lists out saying, okay, show me overlap from X company to Y company or Y company to Z company. So, by just doing a ton of importing, exporting, and blah, 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 you can sort of begin to find intersections and overlaps. We have the ability with Word Vision to track the listing position at Google for all these competitors. So we were able to load the keywords into Word Vision and then have those go out and find listing positions at Google, which SpyFu is doing now. So that's bottom line is this was done about a year ago, so you get the feel for it. But the purpose of all of this, okay, this next screen I'm showing you right here, this is basically where the pedal hits the metal. So what we did is we took all of those keywords over here, we filtered them out, we did our pruning, we found the keywords we want to target, and our task and our goal was to look at the groupings of those keywords, literally the 178,000 of them, do our pruning, and then develop manually by hand ourselves these these we call them silos, these keyword silos that we think make the most sense both from an SEO perspective and a content creation perspective. Okay, so these silos that you see here, one is called data backup and recovery, another one is document management and imaging. These are the keyword groupings, the silos we call them, that were the net result of all of this research summarized on this page right here. Okay, so let me show you a couple more screens to understand a deeper analysis.
And then you went through like the 4,000. So you went from 178,000, and then what you did is you had all the keyword data. So you filtered out like the kind of the long tail, right? You filtered out the keywords that had like really low search volumes probably, or really low
search volume, high pay-per-click price. This screen here that I'm showing you gives you sort of some insight into what the pruning was all about. This is a little bit deeper. This is a keyword silo breakdown. So there's a lot of, let me explain these 4 variables that we used. Okay, one is golden keywords. Okay, golden keyword, you'll find that every client, everybody on the phone right now has a short list of like 100 or 200 or 300 golden keywords that, damn it, they wish they were going to get a top listing at Google for, okay? And those become very critical. And I think, by the way, we'll learn later that Groupie can not only help us find those golden keywords, but do some pretty magical things if we were to just enter, say, those 300 keywords into Groupie and let Groupie group those, right? So that becomes quite interesting. But so the golden keywords were hand selected and by the customer, okay? So that's the first step to learn. The second keyword is what we call low-hanging fruit. And what we learned over the years, with working with hundreds of different companies ranging from Walmart and to P&G to big companies that paid us a lot of money to create content for them, is our secret to proving results quickly and delivering results quickly was to focus our content marketing efforts on what we call low-hanging fruit, low-hanging fruit keywords that were in positions 11 through 50. Okay, So we knew that if we built a lot of content and built even some internal link strategy supporting those listing positions to the landing pages that the listing positions were happening with, we could move the needle quickly and show a client results and actually increase organic traffic very quickly. So low-hanging fruit becomes a big part of our weed whacking, is to identify those low-lying fruit keywords for the particular keywords. And obviously, we like looking at the top 100 pay-per-click keywords and the top 100 search volume keyword phrases. Then we like to look at performance and search volume on the competitors' websites and trying to capture that organic market share by creating a volume of content around it. So, but these silos, and here's another grouping to see that there's a lot of variation in the silos. You can see how the bar charts change radically. That's fairly strategically done, but in the end of the day, we just need silos and we need keywords, and that's what this 400 hours of research was all about. What's funny, Mike, is I'm going to sit here and say something radical. We did a lot of these plans. We spent a lot of time, and customers spent a lot of money on them. Honestly, if they had spent that money on content rather than the plan itself, and if they had a faster way to get at these silos intelligently, looking at things like, the competitive nature of the marketplace, the volumes, the low-lying fruit, the golden keywords, all these priorities, if you could crunch this data quickly, it would be a better use of the money, I think, to invest in the content. So, but these are some other screens just in the summary.
A little less planning, a little more execution, sort of entrepreneurial.
Exactly. It's like, you kind of know what you need to write about, in my opinion. If you're an agency, if you're a content marketing agency, you need to write about content marketing. If you're a company in this space, you need to write about data backup and recovery, document management, health information and management. And this is a blueprint of what their company really is going after with this particular customer. We're just trying to assemble these keywords in logical ways, and I think the methodology you've built in Groupie can really help shortchange that and make that happen. But there's cool stuff to look at. We did look at the Google PageRank for all the competitors' websites and the number of pages indexed, which can have a bearing on the SEO marketplace in general. We looked at the number of inbound links to all of these competitors' sites. We looked at how many top 3 listing positions, which was quite interesting. Surprisingly enough, some of the smaller players had more top 3 listings than the larger players. And again, we're only looking at our 5,000 keyword universe, right? So, it's once you get your core list of keywords and once you group them, then you're in a position to really look at some of these competitive research charts to see how you stack up with the competition. The hard part is really identifying what are the groups of what are the keywords for starters that you want to focus on, and then what groups should you put them in. And so I think that's a pretty good setup to let you dive in. Once you assess things and figure it all out, in the end of the day, a content marketing agency needs to make a recommendation with how many content assets you need in each silo, right? And what type of assets you need in each silo. So that's what gets tricky, but it all starts with basically what are my keywords, what do I go after, you get the general idea. So without further ado, I'm going to change over to you, Mike, and hopefully that was interesting and helpful for people. And I'm going to click a button here that says yes, and off you go.
All right, here we go. So that's a great introduction. Let's see what we got here. I need to start my slideshow. There we go. All right, you can see this? I just want to make sure we're not, it's on this.
You're live.
All right. Okay. So like we said, we just got back from PubCon, and we launched Keyword Groupie there, and we're able to demo it for a bunch of clients. And honestly, what we've done here is, like at SpyFu, we like to focus on big data and solving like these really cool problems about, spying on your competitors and like making SEO make sense and like diving deep into, how to, what recommendations we can make about your AdWords campaign. And all the while, for like quite some time, I've just been looking at like this, what's really frustrating and annoying about, keyword research is just taking a list and adding data to it and making it organized. But we're like, well, somebody will do it, right? Like maybe it's a good thing for Google to have, right? So you just at least add in data to a list of keywords, but you really just can't do this. And so, what we did is we put together this really super practical tool, very, very, very straightforward, but like incredibly usable. And when we talked to people, like they were like, oh my God, this just solves a lot of my problems. We got an excellent response, particularly, particularly from these guys that are at PubCon who are, like by and large, these guys aren't account managers or whatever. They're actively engaged in doing the work of SEO, and like a lot of people are wearing dual hats, and there's a lot of PPC guys there too. Very smart crowd, very into actually doing the work, and so they're very pleased with this. And interestingly, when I get back and look at my sales report, I'm like, holy cow, this actually resulted in a pretty impressive spike in sales. So just got back to last night, and interestingly, I was talking to my wife this morning, and we're supposed to have our second child in a few days, but it turns out she's in labor. So we're having our kid tomorrow morning. So that was an interesting surprise for me. Also delayed my preparation. I was like, oh my God, I got all these things going on. So it's a pretty exciting day.
Feel free to speed through the presentation, Mike.
She's not gonna. No, we're gonna have. It's a scheduled C-section. It's and so it'll be tomorrow morning, but it was supposed to be next Tuesday. So I don't know. We don't even have a name yet, so this is gonna be exciting. Maybe I'll use Keyword Groupie to help me with that. Anyway,
Groupie.
So you touched on what's that?
The name Groupie would be a wonderful name.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You touched on kind of a lot of the stuff that I particularly hate about the keyword research process. It's not the keyword research itself. I actually kind of I enjoy the keyword research process. I like digging in and finding out what my competitors are doing, and I'll dig through our Google Analytics to see what's actually driving us traffic, and just searching out like just the best keywords. I don't limit myself to SpyFu. I'll use the Google Keyword Tool. I'll use Google Analytics. I'll use Keyword Spy, SEMrush. I'll use Compete. I use everything. I want to get the biggest, best, baddest ass keyword list I can possibly come up with. And it comes from various different sources, right? So I'll put them all into, I've got them all in these spreadsheets. And the problem is, the thing that I hate is taking them all, merging them together, and eliminating the duplicates. It's not really even all that easy in Excel to just eliminate duplicates. There's obviously tools where you can eliminate duplicates. That's not like super complicated, but it's a pain point for me, and I don't like it. I've done this many times, and I'm like, there's got to be some way to do it. And anyway, so what we ended up doing is building this tool, right, that merges the list, removes the duplicates, and adds in keyword data, adds in search volume, cost per click, clicks per day. You can look at it phrase, exact, broad, global, local. We add in all of that data. And if we had just stopped there, right, if we just had a box that you could just paste in a list of random keywords that you get from anywhere on the internet or in your head, or you take them out of a book or whatever you do, paste them into a box and get keyword data on it, that would be a pretty damn practical tool that would be useful, in its own right. Because once you have that list, you can then start to prioritize. You can do exactly what you did, right, with that 178,000 keywords, or 180 or whatever, 178. You start pruning it down and focusing your attention on the ones that matter most to you, that are going to make most sense. Does that make sense?
It does.
So we could have stopped there, but we didn't. Because the next step Byron, what realistically on this last step, maybe I'm missing something, but if you had to take a list of keywords and add the search volume and CPC data to it, how would you do it? You know, what's the state of the art in your opinion?
So tedious and so copy-paste driven and multi-user. It just like that's what would take 400 hours, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that you end up using the keyword tool or the Google keyword tool and just pasting over and over and over again, and you can only download like 100 keywords or something like that. I believe that that's kind of the best practice, so it's like it really sucks. I mean, there's no good way around it right now. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure. I haven't heard anybody say, well, yeah, I use this, but I just don't think that there's a bulk way to add search volume data to keyword lists. So anyway. But the next step is kind of the part that's equally frustrating to me is taking that list, and it could be 1,000 keywords or it could be, you know, 100,000 keywords. It sucks to take those keywords and put them into lists, into groups, because it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of keywords that could go into multiple groups, especially if you're doing SEO. You know, if you're putting keywords into keyword silos, right? Like cheap flights to Vegas, you know, it could go in, you know, something like Vegas vacations, or it could go under like cheap flights, or you know what I mean? Like, where does that actually go? And you kind of get into this almost paralysis of decision making. Like, I don't know what the structure should look like. Let me just, I don't know. It just, it's awful. And there's different considerations when you're doing SEO. Like I said, you can actually have these overlaps. You actually kind of want them because, you know, there's relationships between different keyword silos like you're talking about. But with PPC, if you have overlaps, then you're effectively double bidding against yourself. Let me give you an example. We at SpyFu, we buy the Keywords Spy. And we have an ad group called Keywords Spy. And we also have an ad group called SpyFu. It's our brand. It's, you know, in essence, our most profitable ad group, right? Most people, when they, we could probably, it's one of these debates that people have is, should I be advertising on my brand? Well, you know, I don't want to get into the intellectual, you know, debate, but, you know, the truth is we do, because my analytics show me that I make a lot of money every time somebody clicks on our ad on the Keywords SpyFu, so whatever, I trust it. And so the thing is we buy the broad match of SpyFu and we buy the phrase match of Keyword Spy. And I've talked about this before, but if you buy a broad match of the keyword like a Lamborghini, you'll show up on the search Ferrari. Because broad match is freaking crazy. Broad match does, you know, it's just like this weird algorithm that Google's like, wow, we're going to show you up on things that are related to things. You know? So it turns out that if I look at in my keyword details report in Google AdWords, that the broad match keyword SpyFu actually matches to our competitor's brand, Keyword Spy. Isn't that crazy? I mean, you think about it, you know that it kind of could hypothetically happen, but I never really realized that, you know, their stuff was so adaptive that our brand, SpyFu, actually maps to Keyword Spy. But the thing is I'm willing to pay $10 on a click for SpyFu. I don't know if I pay $10 a click, but I'm definitely willing to pay more. We're more profitable on our keyword, on our brand than their brand. But because I'm willing to pay more, Google optimizes everything. Quality scores, effective CPM, everything that Google does is essentially ties back to effective CPM. So when you give them the opportunity, they'll actually show, when you're double bidding against yourself, they'll actually choose to show the one where you're willing to pay more. They'll show the ad for, you know, for the wrong ad group, for what you think is the wrong ad group. So my point is, it's very important not to have these overlaps, right? In SEO and content marketing, it's okay to have these overlaps, but in PPC, you want to have zero overlaps. But creating a structure where you have like phrase match and like modified broad match and exact match, so that there's zero overlaps in between those words is, you know, you could probably as a human do it with maybe 50 keywords, but I really don't think that I could actually keep in my head or in a spreadsheet or anything over, like, you know, certainly not more than a couple hundred, or, you know, and definitely not 1,000 or 10,000 keywords. There's no way that I could actually keep those lists tight. So there's double bidding that's rampant. It's just like that's the nature of AdWords. But if you can eliminate your double bidding against yourself, then, you know, you're controlling who's spending and who's not. It's a little bit of a philosophical discussion. I'm actually going to get into the specifics on this in a second. I'll show you exactly how it works. But I kind of wanted to give a real-world example that what actually happened to us. I mean, you know, you want to be able to spend your money the way you want to be able to spend your money. So we create these two different types of groups in Keyword Groupie. We help you organize it. We give you like basically what I think is kind of a good solid SEO organization, and then this really tight PPC organization. But, you know, we also don't know that, you know, we know you want to be able to do it your way at some point, right? So we have a nice search box, and you can export the results, and you can export the groupings exactly the way that you want them, and you can sort of refine the way that you want to group your keywords through the search, which has an advantage over Excel, which I know a lot of people like to use, because the search is like, you know, it's better than Excel's search. It's just more convenient. So we focused on making this thing real practical, really fast, everything super snappy, but at the same time extremely powerful. And the other thing that when we released Keyword Groupie the first version of Keyword Groupie, we let you export like the keywords. You know, it was like, okay, we're going to group things. You know, basically, Keyword Groupie, the first version, you could type in a domain name, any domain name that we have, and we would create this a couple of different groups. We'd groupify those keywords. But we would let you export just the list of keywords for each group. You could export the list of keywords. You couldn't export the entire structure, right? You couldn't export like the nested hierarchy of keywords, of groups, the silos that you're talking about. You'd have to export them one at a time and sort of name them that. And really, people ultimately they asked us for, you know, the ability to export that structure, and so now you can. And not only can you export the structure, you can obviously export all of the data that goes along with it. In addition to being able to export in that format, you can also export to Google AdWords directly. And if you create these groups and you like these groups, you can start tracking them immediately. You can start doing weekly tracking for your domain on Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Just like click of a button, it's like all right there in Keyword Groupie. So it's very, I don't know, the exports, we know that especially if you guys are into SEO, that you have your own system, you have your own spreadsheets that you've developed over time, and we just want to let you take the groupings that we create and the keyword data that we've added, and you can just keep going about your business and executing the way that you know how. We're just making this middle process, the tedium of that we're talking about, a lot more straightforward. We're eliminating that for you. All right, so without further sort of philosophical talk, let me get into some demos here. Byron, did all that stuff that I'm talking about kind of make sense?
We're philosophically all aligned now, Mike. Thanks.
Good. I mean, I don't know how well I'm describing this custom phrase match thing that I'm talking about. It's kind of complicated, but it's ridiculously powerful. But I'm going to demo it for you, and we'll go from there. So to set up a demo, what I did is I took. Let me just show you how to navigate to Groupie first, just so that if you're a SpyFu user, you should know how to get there. You click on the Groupie tab up here, and you've got these two different options. You can start with keywords, which is pretty much what I'm talking about. I think it's ridiculously useful. But you can also type in a domain. So here you could just put in SpyFu.com or any domain you want, and this is something you've been able to do for a while, so there it is. That's
Mike,
basically
Yep, that's how we do the research on our competitors. Just so you know.
Okay.
We use SpyFu to just type in a domain name, and presto, it tells us all the organic keywords that are driving organic traffic. So it works great. So yeah, keep going. Sorry.
And it puts them into these little groups just like this, and these are the organic groups that I was talking to you about. These are the ones that, in essence, they have overlaps in between them. So you'll actually see here there's 233 unique keywords and 2,174 keywords total. I'm sorry, 1,700 unique keywords, 2,100 keywords total. So that means that there's overlap in between these groups. But you can drill into each of these groups. Check out, under keyword, you can go down into the keyword tool and you can see each of these has the word keyword tool in it. And you know what? I don't want to knock this system, this particular way as a means of organizing ad groups for AdWords. I think that this actually could work quite nicely, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people end up using this as a basis for creating ad groups. Especially, since you can paste in a list of keywords. But we also have this tab here we call paid keywords, and what this will do is organize our AdWords campaign so that you can see it in a way that is that basically puts everything into a phrase and modified broad match. This one actually, when we started out, this particular little means of grouping things took like an hour. And so it still takes a little bit longer. It'll probably take like about I don't know, a minute or something like that.
Paid keywords, Mike, one quick question for you. Paid keywords are the paid keywords that SpyFu is paying for according to SpyFu.
Yeah. Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And organic keywords. And can you go back? Will it keep grinding if you go back to organic? Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Well, no. When you go back to organic, it'll.
Will it stop paid, or I keep paid going?
Yeah, it'll stop paid, but it's okay. I can go back.
No,
to
no.
it.
You can go if you want. My question was on the organic side of things. Those categories that you first see when you one says keywords, they're kind of 233. So is that, and what's the COM 384? What's the SPY, the report? Those are immediate group names that SpyFu Groupie has come up with for all 2174. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the name comes from repetition of that keyword phrase used in the group, or some other magic?
If you look at this, 348 keywords. These pretty much are all going to have COM in them. So if we do, look at that, amazing. We did a search and they all have COM in them. We can put SpyFu in, and then the list sort of filters itself. So yeah, that's how it works. So then you would drill in and you'd be like, okay, well this one has COM and www, right? So we could, you can kind of see how that works out. It's kind of weird because you can understand how SpyFu will rank on domain names. Most websites aren't going to have that, but see, you got like keyword. And so
I want to pause you. I want to pause you there and tell me if this would make sense to you based upon how someone could use this. Just looking at these organic, right?
Yeah.
So we're analyzing a particular website. Keyword Groupie's come up with some names. What we're really probably trying to do is to use Groupie's quick sift and search and sort, if you will, to pull keywords out, right, and put them into other buckets, or just sort of use this as the 20,000-foot searching grouping view to help us quickly find and identify the keywords that A, matter most, B, could fit into silos and groups that make sense. Do you agree upon that?
Now you're using this to research a domain?
If we were using it to research
from
a domain name, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could go to every one of my competitors, say of writer access, and you know, I could find out their top organic keyword phrases and pull those out, so I'm sure and certain that that I'm harvesting my competitors' domain names and finding the best ones that are seeming to buy the most traffic. And I could do that both with organic and paid. And probably, I'm guessing, I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but in 2 or 3 hours, I could probably research most of my competitors and start building separate keywords lists and accomplish probably in 4 or 5 hours. I think I could do what took us about 100 hours based upon looking at this so far. These keyword names, I don't think people should get hung up on the name of these groupie names that you've come up with, right? You know, it's not like that's going to be my end-all end keyword silo name that I'm going to point all my content marketing strategy at. What I'm trying to do is to weed whack and sift much faster.
Right.
And that's what this is doing.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, you can add in these phrase and exact, if you know, depending on how you actually want to, you know, do your weed whacking, right? I just added in, let's see, export these keywords to CSV. I can export the current grid just so I can show you how this works real quick. This is going to show me the current list, but I can also export all of these into a CSV. Trying to get rid of that. Where to go? This one? It should have come up over here, I think. Demo time. Okay, let me switch back over to this. This is the paid version. This is the paid side of SpyFu.
Yeah, cool.
And we're using the exact same notation that you would see in Google AdWords. We have so when it's quotes, that means it's a phrase match. When it's plus, that means it's modified broad match. So what we've done is we restructured our campaign, our AdWords campaign, and took it from having 2,000 unique keywords and reduced it down to these phrase and modified broad match keywords. And keep in mind, these phrase and modified broad match keywords are completely exclusive, right? So no keyword's going to show up in 2 of these groups, and they won't match to the same group either. So, so instead of seeing like, and then this right here would be if you were to structure your campaign like as a sort of a long tail exact match keyword list. This is what you'd have to deal with. You'd go through, and you see this here because this is basically all the keywords. You have to go through and put these things into ad groups. Somehow you have to go through. I mean, imagine this is like a whole list, and you're just like, okay, I don't know, competitive. I mean, you could do this. You could find anything with the word competitive. That's probably not a big enough group. So how about, start typing things in, trying to figure out how to do this. Even you could do this in Excel, but what we've done here is we've done it for you. And so this is a perfectly tight list. So you go from 2,000 keywords down to, I don't know, what does this look like? Maybe 150 phrase match and modified broad match. Makes everything much more manageable.
A lot of work there.
A lot more. Well, it's a lot of work, and it's damn near impossible to do that and make it actually so you're not double bidding yourself. Okay, let's even take the double bidding side out of it. It's a decent amount of work to just like come up with a good list like this that does have some overlaps. But then, this has 0 overlaps. You know what I mean? So, and also you can like look into this and be like, well, maybe I need to do some negative matching on some of these. This is going to show you the entire list of everything that you're going to show up on. If you actually do buy the plus keyword, plus research, plus tool, or keyword search or something. It shows you what you're going to, what you might need to get rid of, what you might need to negative match out. So let's see. That's kind of how the this is an upgrade to the existing keyword groupie functionality, right? This is you type in a domain and you get this list of keywords. But the part that I spent the entire beginning of my presentation, the part that you and I were talking about earlier, is really taking a list of keywords that you get from wherever and pasting them in to a box, right? And so, what I've got here is campaign. It's election season, so I've got all of the keywords for both campaigns, and I've pasted them in here. Really,
where did you get those campaigns? Out of curiosity, where did you get the keywords, the list?
I pulled them from SpyFu. You could pull them from anywhere. It actually doesn't matter if you pull them from us. You don't have to pull them from us. We'll add in the data regardless. So I just did this just because I was like, well, what am I going to demo? It's just kind of an interesting, season for, could do Halloween, I guess, but whatever. So I paste this in, and interestingly, what we get back here is if we look at this from this compact phrase match, this is sort of that paid list. You can actually see which keywords the Romney campaign is buying: mother, decal, mitt. Interesting, this mother one. I mean, because this is literally true. I'm not going to go into intricate detail on this, but it's interesting that they buy the actual phrase match of mother and mom. And between you and me, they don't actually do any negative matching, so there's actually a lot of porn words that show up in here. It's kind of funny. So, anyway, this is if you wanted to express their campaign, if you wanted to reduce this this election campaign down into this list of keywords, this is how you do it. And wanted to show also how we can just export the entire list. And you can also export it directly to Excel. I guess it's going to make a request here.
If you wanted to bring all these keywords into your AdWords account.
Yeah, you can bring them right on in.
It's an API, yep.
It is not an API, no. It exports to the format that you use to import. We don't API up with.
Okay.
This is the Obama campaign. It's a little bit different. A lot of health and insurance and that type of thing. But this is actually this isn't their organic list. This is their paid list, but it's organized in this standard group by system.
So
right?
cool.
So you can just sort of drill in, and like I was saying before, if you don't want to look at broad match, if you want to look at phrase match or exact match, you can add those in. And of course, these are we have cost per click, cost per day, daily search volume, and we have those for local and global. So pretty much the data points that that you'd be looking for, all of them, all of the ones that you would. I don't know what else anybody would be looking for. These come directly from the Google AdWords tool, so it's pretty much like typing them in. It's pretty useful. I actually was kind of hoping that at some point Google would do this, but we kind of just decided that we'd do it, for them. Hopefully they like it. Let's see. One more thing that you can do here is you can start tracking these keywords. Let's say that you think that this is a good set of keywords for you. You can go ahead and start tracking these. You can go ahead and start tracking these directly in our weekly tracking. So you'll be able to track these on Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So we could do this for what was that? BarackObama.com. And we can track the SEO and the PPC rankings both, and we could just call this health care, and just start tracking them immediately. And like I said, it'll pull the top. Here we go. it'll start pulling immediately from Google, Yahoo, and Bing in the top 100 for the organic side. And really, what we look at on the PPC side, we actually look at coverage, and that's why we want to track our keywords on PPC, because you want to make sure that when you're profitable, when you've got some profitable keywords, that you're not just showing up half the time. Sometimes because of quality score issues or whatever, Google's not going to show your ad on the maximum number of impressions. They'll choose not to, and quite frankly, that all kind of goes back to that whole effective CPM deal. You know, is it getting enough clicks based on what Google wants? And if not, then they're not going to show it. But it's profitable for you. And if you're getting 50%, coverage, you can literally double your profits by making sure that you have 100% coverage. Realistically, as a rule of thumb, if you're not getting 80% coverage, you should start investigating on profitable keywords. You familiar with that?
Not really. When you say 80% coverage, could you define that?
Okay, so let's say that let's say that the keyword research is profitable for us. It actually is. I mean, who cares how profitable it is? Well, I know that because of our because
spend on that one keyword versus
I know what our conversion rate
acquisition
is,
cost.
what the value of the conversion is, and how much we spend. So honestly,
but do you have to look at lifetime value with a customer, or average lifetime value? Yeah.
I personally look at lifetime value, but that's because we're a SaaS company. We're subscription based. So if I look at a sale as though it's like a monolithic event, then I'm kind of like it'd be a totally different conversion rate thing. The truth is, I believe that on keyword research we probably spend about $200-ish to get a sale, which might be a lot in a way, but it's still whatever. We're profitable on it, right? So I want to make sure that on anything that I'm actually returning a profit, that I'm showing up as often as I possibly can. But Google doesn't always do that. It may be because of competition, or it may be because of quality score, or it may be because of Google wants to show shopping results, and so they don't want to show as many ads. If I'm getting only half the impressions, then I'm only getting half the clicks I could be. And if I'm only getting half the clicks I could be and I'm profitable, then I'm only getting half the profit, right? So it's important to monitor and make sure that your keywords are actually showing up. So I mean, that's kind of a little bit of a different topic than Keyword Groupie, but it's something that I felt like we could talk about.
And that's why you'd want to use Keyword Groupie, right? Is to basically harvest all the keyword phrases that you should and could be going after, group them, which is the most massive pain point and critical point for everything you've talked about, namely things like quality score on pages, content creation, supporting PPC strategy with organic strategy, with content development, and even link building over into landing pages that you're running content on. I mean, it's funny, Mike. It's all the groups of your keywords. It's all the silos. And you look at it from the PPC perspective and the organic perspective. That's right. What you need to do. I'm not 100%. Go ahead, yeah.
I want to show what the export looks like, just so that you get what's going on here. I just exported. This is the Romney campaign. Basically, what they're buying. So I was saying that they're buying the phrase match mother. So what we do here is we say, here's what the phrase or modified broad match looks like. Here's the exact match that sits under it, and then here's all the other click data. Basically we give you everything, including maybe even a couple of columns that aren't in the other one, in the actual view. But the structure is intact, right? It's not like we're just giving you the list of keywords. We're actually giving you all those keywords that map to each of those columns. And it's the same thing for this let's see, it's the same thing for, it's like the SpyFu one where we were talking about. Oh, that's the group by words. I want to do this one. Where is it? It's right. Hold on. It is. Here we go. Just this group by words, and we can export all keywords to CSV. This will give us. Oh, actually, I think this might be it right here. I think I already clicked it, and it just takes a second to download. This structure is something I want to make sure that people understand it and see it, because people asked us about this. It's like kind of like the most requested feature is to be able to export the entire keyword groupie structure, the entire tree, as one spreadsheet instead of having to do multiple.
I see.
So I want to make sure
that makes sense.
Demoed.
Yeah.
So you can see that we were definitely doing it with the compact phrase match one, and this will eventually happen. Sometimes I have like some weird sort of data issues when I'm running the GoToMeeting thing. I'm not sure if that's what's going on here, or I'm just impatient when I'm on a webinar.
Well, think of the data it's crunching. It's exporting.
Oh yeah, it is 20,000 keywords. That's a lot of keywords.
Yeah, you've got several million bits of data that are popping onto a CSV screen. So.
Yeah, 20,000 is kind of a big
How
list.
Are people using this, Mike? Do you have a feel for that yet?
Well, I mean, we released it a couple days ago. We released it actually
right.
at PubCon. So I haven't even. All I know is that when we went there, and we had really, by demoing it, for the first time, we actually made a profit. Oddly, on a trade show. Like an immediately measurable, like in one day we made profit. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's pretty sweet. So
people want this. It's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is that it's actually still free for a couple more days. So you can pass it around to your. Okay, so here we go. This is what's kind of awesome. This thing, right, has multiple levels of hierarchy, so you can sort of sum things up and choose the right size group. You've talked about many times, like you need to know the right amount of content to write, and how do you decide that? It's got to be based on something like search volume, or the combination of cost per click times the expected number of clicks, like how many resources do you dedicate to a certain silo or a sub-silo or whatever. And so here, and so it's important to group things to the level of your planned execution. So do you want to have your silo be health, or do you want it to be healthcare, or do you want it to be healthcare for home, or healthcare nursing, or healthcare Florida? So these would be your keywords at the healthcare Florida level, right? You got these multiple levels. This whole structure is preserved, so you can choose to operate at like a really high level, health, and all these keywords here are going to be your health words, and you can sort of sum them up, add them into your spreadsheet, and do whatever it is that however you like to execute. Or you can go a few levels deep and sort of be a little bit more long tail, healthcare articles, right? You can do, and this is the entire Obama campaign. Lots and lots of data, lots of good organization, and of course, again, all these extra lovely columns of data that you really need to help you build your own custom algorithms and your strategy for your content planning or your PPC and all that stuff. So I wanted to show that, make sure that
that's killer. Go to the top columns again. Go to the top columns. Yeah, just so I can see the categories up there, and I just want to understand the hierarchy on that. So what that is
let me show you how this maps back.
Health to then care as a subcategory, and then health, care, help. That was what you pulled out of that keyword phrase, right? care is health is used in that keyword phrase.
See if we can find it.
That's crazy,
so health,
amazing.
Health.
So care.
What was our next level? Oops.
It was health and then care, and then care health.
Am I looking at the health and then care? That's funny. I actually haven't tried to map this directly back. Maybe it's under healthcare. Or
oh, is it PPC? Wait, let me think about this for a second. Oh wait, no, care was care the category?
Oh, care health right here.
It's care. Care was the master category, I think.
So here's care health. And then there we go. Okay, I get it. All right. So it did a further breakdown, is what you're saying. It did a further breakdown because it's parsing. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. It does, because I think we only go 2 levels deep in the actual product. But like in this one, of course, you've got several different levels. I'm not sure how much drilling.
Really, actually, that's crazy important. So I'm like really excited about the export feature.
Yeah.
Because frankly, that's how anybody's probably going to use this if they're building out keyword silos like we described.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, if you but we wanted to be able to like let you visualize it and start doing searching and and kind of organizing right inside the tool. But at the same time, I know that basically the export is kind of like how SEOs in particular operate. And so we wanted to make that as perfect as possible.
Because looking at that, it's almost like that's the tail right there, right? Those 5 fields there, are dissecting the tail. And the more, as you scan up and down, just do that for 1 second. Just like go up and down and try to find. I'd be curious to find keyword phrases that have 2 or 3 or 4 fields filled with keyword phrases, which means there's probably something. There's probably a lot of value in. It's probably a cheap price and a high value. Like up top there, just past something. Right. There's probably a little gold mine up there. Right there. Well, it's delayed what I'm seeing, but it's like.
Oh.
So there's a triple header: care, health, care plan.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. So, healthcare reform implementation. So there's probably derivatives of healthcare implementation, healthcare reform implementation, and then somehow crunching the data on the PPC price and the search volume.
Right.
There's like there's a weed whack, component to it, but there's also a select sensationalism, to use double matching letters, right?
Yeah.
And then
I mean, this is kind of like a hacker's tool in a way, isn't it? Like hacker from the, it's like SEOs are always like finding like there's like things to exploit, right? And it's like we can build tools that sort of help that, and that's this thing is just so useful, right? Take some keywords, get a structure. You can start doing your own roll-ups and kind of doing your own scheming and figuring out how you're going to like do things. But yeah, But you need all the data, and all the data's here, right? And so every last ounce of it, right? It's like a lot of data. I don't even know where you can get, phrase, exact, broad, global, local, everything. Like I guess obviously I know where you can get it. You get it from the Google keyword tool, but it's not like you can just run one search. You have to run at least 3, per keyword. Do you know what I mean? You can't just have something output that much data. I think that there's some extras in here too, by the way. Let's see. Might be some extra little nuggets. Okay, so we got ad count in here that we also pull in.
Nice.
So you can see the number of ads, and we also have result count.
Wow.
Which is useful. So yeah, we don't show that in the actual in the actual app, because you want to kind of make the interface as clean as possible. But
have you just started showing ad counts? I don't know if we've seen that. Well, it certainly wasn't in the previous Google Groupie.
No. You know what? In the old Groupie, there was no data. And it was still one of our more popular tools. I mean, this is going to be a pretty popular tool. A lot of people are going to like it. It's kind of a little secret.
So here's an interesting concept that folks on the line might be, because I'm looking at all this data saying, what do you do with all of this, right? So one of our research gurus here has developed a formula, which we'd have to kill you if we told you, but it basically is a way to say, take a keyword, take about 5 or 6 or 7 bits of information that you know about that keyword, and attach a weighted value to it, which should immediately, tell you its importance level. And that's kind of what we concocted when we started taking on these challenges of having to go from 178,000 keywords down to 5,000.
Yeah.
And
I
this
think that there's a lot of those. Yeah.
I think that's what people
when I say
on the line are probably
tool, I think there's
doing.
a lot of, yeah.
Right? So, the fact that all the data is here is just like a kid in a candy box for somebody that's trying to find the nuggets, the veins, if you will, to go after. So this is just crazy cool.
And I mean, the truth is, you don't actually even have to, you're talking about, you use SpyFu to do it, and that's great, but you literally don't have to use SpyFu data at all. You can use whatever data source you want and still paste it in.
Right.
And we're ultimately going to organize them and add in the data and all that stuff. You can use whatever you want. Because I think that looking at, your own Google Analytics or the Google Webmaster Tools is, potentially advantageous. It's a good idea. You should definitely look at your logs and structure and organize those to understand what is going on. And this fundamentally allows you to do that. And, we know by observation what you're advertising on in AdWords, but we don't know what's in your AdWords account. You can export, you can go into, see if I can real quickly just give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about. You can go in, here's our AdWords campaign. You can go in here. I would recommend going into, let's see, I'm looking at keywords, go into keyword details, click on all. Okay. This is for one of our campaigns. Click download. Hit, create. This is going to pop open, pretty much, see if my Excel search term report right here. Take all these keywords. All right, see, wait. Somehow this doesn't look quite lengthy enough. I feel like something might have gone wrong. Let me go back in here. There should be well over 141 keywords. Click on here, the campaign, these are the keywords. This is this list. Hit create. Pops this open. I'm going to kill all of my other spreadsheets just so that I don't get confused. Pop this open again. This is the one. And that's kind of a very small list. I don't know why that just happened. That's not what I would expect. Did anyone see that I did anything wrong? I feel like that's exactly how that should work. But anyway, you paste this in here, organize these keywords. So the point is that you take your own AdWords campaign or your own Google Analytics or whatever, you paste it in here. This isn't data that we have. We're going to structure it for you and add in these data points so that you can make your own decisions. So you see here we structured this using this this system. You can hit the compact phrase match, and this will basically just compact the AdWords campaign into phrase and modified broad. There's also this thing down here called group strength, and in this case I'm going to make these keywords, I'm going to make our associations, I'm going to make the groups less strict, because you can make these lists, you can make the stuff that we do with phrase match like extremely strict, so that if there's like one keyword in all of SpyFu that doesn't match, the phrase that's not in your list, then we throw it out, right? But in this case, because I got like kind of a reduced list, I want to make this a fairly loose, loose matching. I'm going to let it sort of let there be some outliers. I don't know if I need to go into a whole lot more detail on that.
There are a couple of reasons you don't. Number one, you need to head to the hospital. number two, you don't have a name for your second child you're bringing into the world, so it's like cramming for an exam in your drive to the hospital in case. And number three, you're probably exhausted from 2 days on the floor at PubCon serving beer for the majority of the day. So we've hit a good time crunch here anyway, and it's just a pleasure to just see incredible tools and resources now at everyone's disposal. And the good news is for free for a few days. But wow, this is clearly saving lots of time. Thanks, Mike.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Byron. Thanks for coming.
So when we talk next, we'll have lots of fun things to talk about. You're going to be a busy man in the next few days.
Yeah, so, yes, I will.
How do you recommend people, get any more information about Groupie? Do you have anything planned, real quick? This will be free for a couple of days. Then you're going to need to be a SpyFu, subscriber. All the data will be there, and of course, when you subscribe, you're not going to subscribe to Groupie separately. Just explain how that's all going to work, right? So this is bundled into SpyFu.
Sure.
Explain how this is going to work.
Yeah, with SpyFu, you get unlimited access to all of our pro tools. You can, there's no limit to the number of keywords that you can download. There's no limit to the number of searches that you can run, and there's no limit to which apps you can use. In addition to being able to get, Keyword Groupie, you have Combat Ad History, Keyword Smart Search. You can track up to 400 keywords in Google, Yahoo, and Bing through our weekly tracking app, and you get, some basic access to SpyFu Recon. So, pretty much SpyFu is all you can eat. So anything that I'm talking about here with a $79 SpyFu subscription, you get complete access. And if you're on the line right now and you're not a current subscriber, just hop on live chat and we'll give you we'll at least give you a 50% discount on your first month, just for attending the webinar.
Just because you can.
Yes.
Just because Mike can. He's the president and owner of the company.
Yeah, I mean, there's no promo code, but if you hop on, Danielle will answer. She's, I can see her, and so there she is. She's waving. We're waving. She's apparently on the line. So that'll work.
That's awesome. And somebody is just pinged and said, that's cool, 50%, and somebody else says, please give me my discount. So I think you're going to get some people signing up for this, Mike. So Daniel, stay tuned. You're going to have some people pinging you in a minute saying.
Yeah. What I mean is not this chat. You have to just go on SpyFu and hit live chat. Or I can't see
go to
the
SpyFu.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. This chat is.
Yeah. They're coming
in.
So
cool.
So John and Ken and other people that have pinged us, go ahead and go to SpyFu, and then the chat functionality will get you your discount code.
Sweet.
So,
well, wish me luck
Mike.
on the old childbirthing process.
Yes, most of the luck to your wife, but a lot of it to you too.
I'll be there with
bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Hey, Mike, thanks again for this great data. Always a pleasure. Until we connect again, which Mike and I always do. Hope you're a little bit more in tune with how Groupie can make your life smarter, better, faster, wiser, and a lot less burdensome. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Mike. See everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.